Hey, I just wanted to come on and talk about electromagnetism in the human body. And we can include mammals to that statement or that question of electromagnetism existing in the human body. I'm listening right now to my teacher, Dr. Tom Cowan's recent podcast today, and he's answering questions about the new biology concept. And I am a new biology practitioner, and I'm so grateful to how this man has taught me how to ask questions. I differ on his concept of electromagnetism existing in the human body because that has been built on electromagnetic theories that create pacemakers and are on a construct of our body, of our heart being a pump, and that we need metals to continue our life force. That makes no sense to me. I mean, it makes sense in the sense that they can make it work, but it's a layer that is, I believe, I'm living 150 years, I believe is unnecessary and superfluous and perhaps does more harm than good. And I want to, hey there, Tony. I want to back that up with why, because all metals are made by man. So, and I'm ready. Like, come at me if I don't. Maybe iron exists in nature, but I suspect that iron exists in nature in its little flecks only because of uh, upstream alchemical plants or chemical companies processing things and then throwing them in a man-made river. Most rivers, I think, are man-made. And then we pick up these flecks, and that's what's poisoning us, right? I think, getting ahead of myself, these metals in our food and in what we consume in our water, in the air, which is controlling the weather, in the land, which is making the land infertile, but it can be recuperated through pesticides and quote unquote fertilizers, which are, yeah, they make things more fertile, but for a shortened time period based on the artificial addition of metallic electromagnetism combined with the sun and the soil and chemicals and grafting, which is genetic modification in simple terms. They don't go to the cell level when they graft orange trees. Those are the exact words from a classic, a multi-generational citrus grower in my town. They do not go to the cell level when they graft. So no one does. Okay, no one does. That means that your seedless lime that you get wherever you're watching this video from has no seeds due to grafting. And that grafting is when you take the rootstock of a familial plant that, I'm not going to go there, but then you add a scion to it, and then at a certain age, it could be this young, it can be really small, and then that becomes a fruit that takes the characteristics of the fast growing from the tree, the rootstock, and then the characteristics you want in the fruit. That sounds all great, and we all love seeing our mango trees and everything grow so quickly and see all this beautiful production and feel like we're in the Garden of Eden. The problem is that that fruit is infertile because it did not have a mother and father plant, because it was grafted and it became a hermaphrodite. And I'm sure you can understand the parallels to the current psychological programming of being non-binary or being a person who is not sure of their gender, and how that's all related. This is all related because they are a death cult and they hate fertility, and I am pro-fertility. And I hope that anyone who watches this is also pro-fertility, because there is no future of the earth unless there are eyes that can see it, and eyes of men and women that can speak. And the vibrations of our voice are what are so underestimated by us, but not by them. And that's why they do the masking. And that's why they have us put on masks. And 100 years ago, they did the same thing with the Spanish flu that killed millions and millions of people as well, from, I think, bronchial emphysema from the masks, but also from the vaccines. Exact same script. This is for entertainment purposes only. But the mask is, in Spanish, the word is tapa boca. It literally means cover your mouth. And it's the oldest form of slavery, right? Because what makes us different than animals? Our ability to speak in complex terms and then build something and create something. We are all creators. That's the idea. And that's it. That's what Yesu states in the Bible. And again, I've stated, as in my evolution of spirituality and the way that I'm choosing to live my life, it is based on the arrangement of words attributed to Yesu. I say Yesu because it sounds like yes, you. And I think that that was his message, because I know it was, because in Luke 17 and various parts of the Bible, Yesu states the kingdom of God is within us. He doesn't call himself, the Pharisees said to him, so you say that you're the Messiah? And his answer was, you say I'm the Messiah, right? He taught us that we are each creators and we're each our own gods. And once we realize that we are the ones that create our reality, it's not mom, it's not dad, it's not your siblings, it's not your friend, it's not your lover, it's not your partner, it's not your coworker at work. It's how you decide to take in the day, or I decide to take in the day, and how I generate my electricity and my energy and establish my boundaries to what the day is going to be like. So, and I equate that to my observation of animals. And when you look at animals and you see how they are living and reacting as things go on. Today, I sat outside while a storm went on again, one of these planned storms, and saw lightning. It was fierce. It came out of nowhere. And I sat outside in the weather and I watched 3 little birds. How about that? And yet last night I was listening to that song, Girl, Put Your Records On. And she says, 3 little birds. Blah, blah, blah. And remember Bob Marley's song? So I watched these 3 birds sit on the side of the building while this horrible storm was in the air. And it was electrical and it was huge. Again, like I had on Monday in Winter Haven. Just booming noises, booming sounds. And when I closed my eyes on the beach this morning, when I went swimming in the ocean, the sound was similar, right? So it's these sound waves that are being emanated. So anybody who wants to comment on what is thunder, let's go. I want to talk about thunder. Like, where is thunder? Where is wind emanated from? And Jesus, and Yesu talks about wind. We don't know where the wind comes, you know, and he talks a lot about birds. So it makes me think a lot about maybe there's a lot of secrets among the birds, because how do birds know where to travel to? How do birds know to migrate to a certain area unless there's a leader that they follow? So I watched these birds, and then another bird came along. So then there were 4. And then one of the 4, as the storm kind of went down a little bit, flew away. And then I watched the second, and then I watched the third, and then watched the 4th finally make his decision. And those birds took a moment before they decided to follow the other bird, right? And I recently discovered that, well, I know this, but it's just starting to come together for me. The word columba, Columba, columns is an electrical measurement as well. Columbia, Washington is the District of Columbia. Maybe there are great secrets in the birds, right? And that we are not observing. And I just encourage you to consider that idea, because they're surviving in these storms, as are all the animals that are outside. And we are so weak that we stay inside. And again, if you watch this channel, you know that my name is Victoria Salt, and the second T is for truth. And the salt is because I believe that we are a salt gel. And thus, being the antidote to metals, in my opinion, means that we can, en masse, go outside, turn off your phone's weather app, stop looking at the weather. All these sexy people, good looking across the world that give the weather. Don't you? I mean, you saw this all occur if you're in my age group. When I moved to Colombia in 2005, there was no weather reporting, and now there's weather reporting for the last like 8 years. And there are these beautiful men, oh, excuse me, beautiful women, something I think, sometimes men, whatever, but like sharp, like like gigantic boobs, tight dresses to point at a screen with the weather forecast, which is a percent, which is a, with a 70% chance of rain. Like, how do they come to that? Well, how do they come to that? Well, they know what chimneys are pumping out the pollution from the chemical plants, just like the Simpsons showed us, right? And that's those clouds on the Simpsons, and that's those clouds they've been showing us in storybooks since the 1930s and 40s. This is all to get our mind accustomed to a sky that is not real, in my opinion. There is a second level of clouds above these clouds that are manipulating the weather. And I wasn't able to see the new moon because there were way too many clouds, and I live in the phosphate capital of the world. So I've seen those chimneys. I've driven by them with my children and watched the smoke come out that turn into clouds. And I just would like to open this conversation to whatever your thoughts are on that. And thanks for being here. This is exciting. Hello, thank you for being here. Hey, JT, how are you? Rum Boston Bear, good to see you. Mr. Sidewinder, Howard Super Sidewinder, good to see you. FE Nation, hello, what's up? When are we going to have another festival where we can all get together? Hey, Sea Lightning. You were videoing, I was videoing, taping a tornado 3 miles away through my house window. A small bird then hit my window. How terribly sad. Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, hey, maybe that bird was not following the right bird leader, right? Pro fertility as well. Thank you, JT. That's right. You have 5 children. Amen. You're doing it. You and your beautiful wife, beautiful children. How fantastic. I saw a beautiful field of lemon trees while near Sorrento, Italy. They were all grafted trees because they had to be. I love it, right? Just like the graphic designer for NASA, right? They have to be. Today I walked into a beautiful cafe. I think it's called Uno Bakery or Una Bakery. If you're in Lake Worth, please go by. Wonderful Croatian man, Armin, who works there, and had a lovely basket of lemons. And I told him, I said, you know what the best lemons are? They're the ugly ones that are all misshapen and deformed, because these are all too perfect. And again, they're seedless, and then we're going into monoculture. And monoculture means that there's no other plants growing around it. And that's polyculture. And next door to my house where I'm growing my 30 productive plants and trees, I have 4 citrus trees. They're growing these delicious tangerines that I love. They're called, they're really funny. They describe them as juicy and crunchy. My daughter and I laugh about that. Juicy and crunchy in a tangerine. And I forgot the name, but it's not Tangelo, but it's a cute name. And they have plastic over the trees in Central Florida, a plastic covering. This is like the latest in crop development and best agricultural practices worldwide. Why? To get the highest yield in the shortest time, and then just replant and put more chemicals in the ground that then run into our groundwater, in Florida, into our upper aquifer, which is, I believe, perhaps maybe contaminated by these chemicals. Hopefully not, but I put salt in my water to battle that. And this is important to just consider these ideas, and that we should be getting seeds that have father and mother trees that create the seeds. And because again, this is a hermaphrodite alchemic strategy for defertilization or extinction of mankind. But the good news, the great news, is I'm living 150 years, and I believe that can be done through consuming pure salt, because our body is a salt gel, It's structured water, like the latest and greatest are saying, but that structured water is not energized by ATP, in my opinion. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, and I refuse to believe that that is what my body's made of. But I do believe that it's made of salt gel, and it becomes a gel because of the electrolyte salt. And salt is what we all taste in every excretion of our body, which is saliva, snot, tears, sweat, earwax, urine, semen, everything salty, blood. I believe that our bones are actually a hardened salt gel, and that's because did you know that they don't burn? I've mentioned this. Bones don't burn, and that may have to do with the skull and crossbones, and that's what has to do with catacombs, and that design of positioning bones must, I believe it has to have to do with underground electricity currency, because there's one that's like over 120 miles long and 3 floors deep. And people arranged human bones in a certain way. That's appalling. So let's just talk about the last 5 years in this great strategy for extinction. There were people who were cremated, and I know this from David Straight, who's dead now, who was a podcaster who explained a lot about natural law. He explained how he had a case going for at least 10 different families that were suing the government in 2021 or 2022 because they had already bought funeral plots for their family. These people were already presumed on their downhill slope in their lives and health-wise. And so then they go in the hospital with a presumed COVID diagnosis, and then they die, and then the hospitals burned their bodies. And so David Straight was suing because he was like, how could you do that? They already had a place to bury him. So was COVID also an energy electricity grab? Now, electromagnetism is the primary source of all electricity right now. Now I'm studying basic electricity. You probably know that. It may be obvious to you, but that requires a man-made process to create the elements to conduct and share this current. The vibrations that emanate from our voice and from our bodies, just our presence, are being muffled by this because people are wearing sunglasses and earbuds and they have their cell phones and they're not connecting and they're not talking. And so, of course, it's easier to manipulate the weather because there aren't these beings or animals walking outside. Animals are now addicted to air conditioning. Air conditioning is generated by fluoride, which is a metal as well. And that transformation of air, it goes back out into the air, combining with the waste from the chemical plants into the sky. And I'm just thinking, it's just an idea, this is for entertainment purposes only, that this is a perfect storm, right? And I want to encourage you guys to take a look at the song by Taylor Swift, Florida. I think it's 2022. Listen to those words. It's pretty interesting. And listen to the Swanee River, which is the state Florida song. And remember the name Florida sounds like fluoride. And if you look at old maps, Florida went really far, like way over Louisiana-ish kind of thing, I think. I saw a couple of maps like that. So those some of the things I wanted to chat about. I'm going to take a look here. Wow. She said lightning just as your bolt showed up. Wow, I'm in the vibe, right? I'm in the vibration. FV Nation, woohoo! Homing pigeons never made sense to me. The homing pigeon thing, we have to look into, you guys. And I'm gonna ask my brothers. My dad talked about a pigeon. Okay, so a pigeon is a dove. A lot of people don't know that. It's the same thing. And in Spanish, the word paloma is dove or pigeon. Just all related. And then they've made pigeons like, these bum birds that bother you in the parks and all that. Yeah, these bum birds are found everywhere on earth. They're huge survivors. And I used to talk about this verse a lot before I had the channel. Wow, I don't want to get this wrong, but I don't have that Bible with me to show it. I have a new Bible I'm reading. It's called the Oldest Bible, but it's very interesting. But anyway, Jesus, Paul states that, I was going with pigeons and doves. Oh, no. Jesus, I believe it's in Matthew 16, maybe. And it is that, I'm going to send you out like as cunning or as smart or as astute as serpents, and as harmless as a dove. And it made me think a lot when I learned that dove and pigeon were the same. I thought, oh, what do I think of a dove? Well, they're persistent as heck. They hang around. You can never catch them, but they're there, and they keep going. They're there, right? But he also talks about you shake that sand off your sandals when people don't want to receive your message, and you move on. And you move on. You do what you can. You say what you can. You see how if the receptive energy is there. If it's not, you move on. And that's what we can do as truth seekers, as truth speakers, and using our voice. Because as I said in a video a couple of days ago, I had an amazing experience with the horses that day. And I know that we are not, or I have not been tapping into understanding the importance of the electrical energy that we all have among us through the sounds. And that's why horses and goats and animals and cows and everybody communicates, and crickets and birds communicate with their sounds. And we've gotten into communicating through typing, and binary. Oh, I read something yesterday. I don't know where it was. It was so great. It was like the devil equals binary or something like that. Like there's so much to this, because the more that they create a man-made structure that we glom onto, then the farther away we get from interpreting nature's real ways. And they don't make sense the way that man wants to teach us, because they don't make it's not based on money. And so much of what's going on in the world is about greed, right? The demons run it. That's right. And demons are aliens, right? Okay. So far, beautiful. International Truth Expo in Quartzsite, Arizona. Okay, well, I did not make it to Barataria. Something came up, and so that's still on the plate because I got to go to conferences. So thank you for reminding me. I would love to go to that maybe. That's in November, right? Hey, thanks so much for being here, you guys. I just wanted to get that out. I hope you have a beautiful Wednesday evening and you have an unusual conversation with somebody. I just had several today, and it's been wonderful. You are the electricity. You are drawing people to you with your knowledge and with your good energy, and knowing that that it's important to speak and start your own channel if you don't have one. But this is very therapeutic. For just having you here just is amazing. So thank you so much. And please, I will watch this video, See Lightning. And you guys have a great evening. Maybe I'll see you on another chat tonight.